Okay, we're going to call to order the meeting of the Common Council for Tuesday, April 20th, 2021. Let us stand and say the pledge. Silent prayer.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty, on to the meeting. Are there any corrections, deletions, or?
We're gonna do roll call.
roll call.
Roll call. Oh yeah, I missed that. Roll call. Ms. Nyla on the roll call.
Okay, Mr. Dabney.
Present.
Mr. Fitzpatrick. Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Present.
Mr. Mack.
Present.
Ms. Deitch.
Present.
Mr. Don Prespolinski.
Present.
Mr. Simmons.
Present.
Ms. Jiggis.
Present.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski. He's getting there, right? And Ms. Feldman. We have 9 present and no one absent.
All right. Second time here. Are there any, Ms. Nyla, are there any corrections, deletions, or additions to the April 6th council meeting minutes? Hearing none, take a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion to approve.
Been a motion to approve by Councilman Fitzpatrick and second by Councilman Simmons, I believe. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes are approved. Reports of standing committees this evening.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir. Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, the Finance Committee met at 6 o'clock prior to this meeting. I don't have the full minutes prepared, but I will get them and submit them to the clerk for the record. But there were no claims at this time, and we discussed the ordinance creating a deadline to submission of the budgets to the council.
Okay, thank you, sir. Are there any other reports of standing committees from this week? Last couple of weeks? Seeing that there are none. Claims docket is 0, but we'll just go through the formality. Fund number 2042, Riverboat Claims, 0, EFT 0. Boyd, fund number 2031, Boyd Development, 0. Total claims for 0. Reports of special or select committees. Are there any reports, special or select committees this week? Seeing that there are none. Are there any other city officers or department reports that are going to be reported tonight? Any other city or county departments? No? Okay, Ms. Nyla, are there any petitions this evening?
A petition was received in the clerk's office from Jinko Inc. to vacate a portion of public street in the city of Michigan City located between US 12 and abandoned railroad right-of-way at 1501 East 2nd Street. And there will be a formal public hearing on May 4th, and it was in the paper on April 9th advertising this hearing.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Nyla, are there any communications?
Correspondence was received in the clerk's office on April 1st from the state of Indiana regarding the American Rescue Plan Act accounting process. Correspondence was also received on April 5th from Controller Hoffmaster regarding proposed budget deadline ordinance. Correspondence was received on April 8th from Ms. Robin Serber regarding Mayor Perry's request to resign. Note, Ms. Serber asked for her letter to be read in its entirety for the record.
That we haven't made a practice of that, so let's continue on.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Yes.
point of order. As a council person, I'm going to make the request that letter be read in its entirety this evening.
Yes, and I told Mrs. Serber that I would read it if council permitted.
And that's fine. And I don't mind any of us doing that, but I'm just not going to be in the practice of reading every letter that requested. that's not, we've got the interest of time, but if a council member has made that commitment, go right ahead. Go right ahead, Ms. Nyla.
I believe Angie said she was going to read it.
Oh, Angie?
See what she said, okay.
So why doesn't it come up?
Okay.
I'm
Oh,
sorry,
maybe that's all-
my apologies. I'm having some audio issues too.
Okay, so it's just verbal then. It's not by.
Apparently so we can go in and listen.
Yeah.
Someone needs to mute. You know what? For the sake of time moving it through, I will read it. I will read it in public comment if that's okay.
So I won't be.
Is that okay? Did I read it in public comment? I mean, council comment? So that you can move it along, because I'm having some audio back and forth issues.
Sure. Ms. Nyla, would you continue?
Okay, correspondence was received in the clerk's office that was sent by Mayor Perry to Engineer Jeff Wright regarding city project updates. Correspondence was also received in the clerk's office to Mayor Perry, copy of the Common Council from the International Union of Operating Engineers regarding Mayor Perry resigning and comments he made.
Now, Mr. President?
Yes,
Mr. President? Yeah, I'm requesting that letter be read in its entirety this evening.
Ms. Nyla?
Okay. This was received from International Union of Operating Engineers to Mayor Perry. I recently became aware of comments you made on voicemail as well as during a recent meeting via Zoom with the Spiritual Task Force Reconciliation Discussion Panel. While I appreciate your efforts for reconciliation with groups with community, your comments bashing the very fabric of Michigan City as well as other communities with inappropriate. Your attempt to scapegoat unions to problems simply reinforce lack of knowledge and vision in this issue. There are numerous items you may have accomplished with your recent comments and actions, namely that you no longer share the commitment to workforce development by state of Indiana, as well as the commitment of other surrounding communities, undermining active participation in Department of Labor approved apprenticeship programs, potential elimination of important and necessary benefits such as pension and health care, lowering wages for workers in Michigan City, elimination of long-term career opportunities through the trade for a short-term gain on one-time job with lower wages and lack of benefits, harming small businesses by lowering a family disposable income, misleading the public you are obligated to comply with state bidding statutes, and that you do not have the ability to dictate the use of only non-union contractors, misinforming the public regarding what right to work actually means. It does mean that we are non-union state, as you have suggested, being a current or former member of the union, you would know that. Misrepresenting the Power and Sun Construction as non-union employers, when in fact they are signatory union contractors. In fact, Mamam Powers served for years as trustee for Local 150 Benefit Funds Board. Potential reduction in quality of public work projects and public safety. There are also several items that they did not accomplish with the recent actions or during your time as mayor. During the approximate 15 months since January 2020, I'm not aware of you attempting to speak with the leadership within LaPorte Building Trades, and you have not attempted to speak with my office. It is my understanding the previous Michigan City mayors have worked with the trades, which added value and success. There has been no invitation from the operating engineer to participate in any meetings, you or member of various entities with Michigan City. You have not requested to visit our multi-million-dollar training facility. You have not inquired what the requirements are to become operating engineer apprentice. You have not organized a job fair requesting operating engineers participant. You have not attempted to contact the assistant coordinator of training facility, also Indiana resident, Mark Carroll, who was appointed by Governor Holcomb to the Workforce Development Board. We will initiate dialogue to appropriate residents of Michigan City, but will not request your participation due to your lack of credibility on such subject matters as shown by your recent finger pointing. And it was signed by David Fagan, Financial Secretary.
Thank you, Ms. Nyla.
Correspondence was also received in the clerk's office from the controller's office regarding an accident that took place in Michigan City Police Department on April 10th. Correspondence was received also from the controller's office regarding another accident that took place in the Michigan City Police Department vehicle on April 11th, 2021.
Mr. Tillman, did you have one that you wanted to read?
And I have the other ordinance. I mean, the other correspondence.
Yes, if I may. This was April 14, 2021. It came in after the agenda was put out, but it stated, and it was addressed to Mayor Perry, the building trades have recently been made aware of deeply disturbing video where you appear to be speaking out of both sides of your mouth. In the video, you speak of Indiana being a non-union state because of right to work. It's obvious you have no idea what rights to work means. In 1961, Dr. Martin Luther King said it's best when it's stated, wherever these laws have passed, wages are lower, jobs opportunities are fewer, and there are no civil rights. King also warned about being fooled by false slogans such as right to work, stating it provides no rights and no work, and its purpose is to destroy labor unions and the freedom of collective bargaining. Recruiting non-union contractors to bid work in Michigan City, as you stated, will lead to poor quality, lower wages, fewer benefits, and leaves a negative impact on the quality of life in the community. Michigan City is home to thousands of union tradespeople and contractors who are proud to call Michigan City their home. Our members work hard, are highly skilled, and created wealth in the community. Your comments are a direct attack on the foundations and principles of the 13 trade unions affiliated with the building trades, our members who live in the community, and our signatory contractors who call Michigan City their home. Instead of speaking this truth and misleading the public, better efforts should be made on your end to promote the apprenticeship programs and career opportunities in the skilled trades. You would know more about these opportunities if you returned a phone call or email from the building trades. We have articulation agreements with every school in LaPorte County. We visit classes, give tours of our training centers, and actively participate in career days and job fairs. The A.K. Smith Career Center has been a great partner and stepping stone for building trades students wanting to pursue careers in the skilled trades. These programs are available to everyone and provided a pipeline to further education, training, middle-class jobs that will provide decent wages and good benefits and a higher quality of life. Michigan City is better served with a mayor who understands the opportunities and values the building trades have to offer. A mayor is elected to serve the community while supporting meaningful economic and social policies for all residents, not handcuff citizens into poverty. A mayor who targets, attacks, and insults the valuable partners in the community trying to create opportunities for all of our citizens is a mayor who has lost their way. Your actions and comments, no doubt, will lead to lower standards, less wages and benefits, and the erosion of the quality of life in our community. We stand ready and engaged, as always, to work with everyone interested in learning the career paths and the opportunities in the skilled trades. Signed, John L.C. Carr, President, LaPorte Star Pulaski Building and Construction Trades Council.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Dyke, did you find it?
Okay, and I shared up the last council member. It was after the deadline, but I told Miss Robin Server that I would read it, and it was to the Michigan City Common Council members and Mayor Dwayne Perry. She lives at 203. Can you all hear me okay? I'm sorry. 203 Southwind Drive, Michigan City. Dear council members and Mayor Perry, I'm writing today to express my thoughts about the recent behaviors of Mayor Perry, which have inspired many to call for his resignation. Mayor Perry, you have indicated that you will not resign, and I am unclear as to the existence of a process in which you can be forced to resign. You stated that you are not a quitter and that at your own expense, you will take counseling and participate in diversity sensitivity training. The initial action of publicly admonishing Chief Deion Campbell was wrong on so many levels. This was exacerbated by the rather proud announcement from you stating that you did, in fact, publicly slap him on the wrist because he failed to adhere to your pecking order. This is the same man who waded into the crowd during the riots to ensure safety of our city, and that action alone should garner the respect of discussing issues privately and gathering more information before you decided that he violated your authority. Next was the call to the pastors. Let's be clear that the tone of the entire message was disrespectful. You made it clear that you were not going to meet with them. You continued by relaying your side of the story on your voicemail, which ensured that they would not be heard and no discussion would be had, and you closed your complaint about them wanting an audience. Mayor Perry, when I ran for office, I was told it was important to meet with the pastors to garner the African American vote, and I'm betting that you gave them an audience when you were out looking for votes. It was stated at the last council meeting that they did not want to beat a dead horse, neither do I. That being said, I also don't want to see this pass as often things do. I feel that if you continue to lead this community, these actions should continue to be addressed until the community as a whole regains the necessary level of trust that one should have in the mayor. To that end, I have 2 requests today and will continue to bring requests as I hope the council and other members of our community will as well. You stated during your meeting with the pastors that the training and counseling you are taking is something that needs to be done alone behind closed doors. I disagree. When one goes to college, they often have an internship, which is done because many things are better learned hands-on. My first request is that the council add on 5 minutes per meeting to allow you to discuss what you have been learning and give the public the opportunity to ask questions regarding your training. For example, a member of the public may ask if you have learned about implicit bias. If you have, you can elaborate on that. If you haven't, you can jot down and discuss it in your next training. I feel this will give you more learning opportunities and allow the public to potentially enhance what you are learning by exchanging information and ideas with you. My second request, and I apologize if this has already happened and I missed it, but if you haven't already, I'm requesting that you set up a 30-minute Zoom meeting with Chief Campbell and apologize publicly as you admonished him publicly. I would ask that this meeting be aired on the same venues as the council meeting and that you would spend the remainder of the time listening to Chief Campbell's experiences with racism or engaging in whatever dialogue the chief feels comfortable having at this time. Please note that these requests are not punitive in nature, but rather a hopeful start to including the community and those who were wronged by your actions in the education moving forward. My vision is that you become a staple in the African American community by getting involved with the community, attending events, and sharing what you have learned so they have the opportunity to enhance those lessons. I strongly feel that our community needs to see you do the work rather than just hear you say you are doing the work. Sincerely, Robin Server.
Thank you very much. Ms. Nyla, will you please read the first resolution by title only?
A resolution by title only expanding the designation of economic revitalization area with the city of Michigan City and extending availability of tax abatement benefits as permitted thereunder. And this is introduced by Mr. Dabney and Ms. Deitch.
And does the author have anything to add on this? Oh, this is a resolution. So.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a couple of things, but the only change is that the whole city area between the last time we did this, and I shared this with Councilman Don Prisbalinski, is that now we have annexed 427 acres that is now part of the city. And it was not included in the original resolution because the designation was only the city boundary that existed at that time. So this corrects that and brings the annex area into the designated area. So each designation has a boundary description. So the old description didn't include the annexed area. So this is why this was brought forth, is to bring that annexed property within the designated area.
And then just to piggyback on what Angie said, as everything she said was perfectly correct, is that this also gives us the ability to do tax abatements to any businesses or anything like that are looking for tax abatements.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Okay, is this a voice vote or just?
I have a question, Mr. Mack.
Public comment.
Mr. Mack,
Yes.
I have a question. This is Councilman Paul Prisbalinski.
Oh, okay, there you go. How you doing, Paul? Go right ahead, sir.
Okay. I was wondering if this is the land that was under this annexation was in 2018, correct? And that, do they have sewer and water out there? Or we still do we still have to provide sewer and water out there?
I think Skylar York may be on, but they don't have sewer and water yet, as far as I believe, and we still have to provide it.
Okay, so just to let the council know for informational purposes that they do not have sewer and water out there, and I think we have a timeline running out, which is a 3-year timeline to provide services from it being annexed. So I think that, we do things, and I'm not saying that this is a bad or a good thing, but what I am commenting on is that we do things and then we don't have a plan to fund them, because that's going to take quite a bit of money to get this done, to provide sewer and water. So I just want everybody to be aware that we still have a financial obligation to this property, and it's going to be a costly one. So I'm just saying is that when we do things, or we need to come up with a plan, or somebody should bring a plan to the council when they do this. And what I'm getting at is that I believe the planning department should be doing this, and having a cost figure on what it's going to cost to get it done, and a plan how to fund it. Thank you.
Okay, public comment. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Seeing that there are no public comments, are there any other council comments? Ms. Dyke?
I'll add a couple of things, and Councilman Paul Prisbalinski is correct. And I know that we've had a few discussions about it. I wrote down a couple of things. So this revitalization area, man, I'm tongue-tied today. It also allows for an area to be designated as a TIF. It's a separate process in this economic revitalization area. But it also allows the city of Michigan City to offer tax abatement in the designated area. That was another reason why for the expansion of that annex property, that if we consider building some new homes or maybe provide a location for existing businesses to expand, it just offers a greater opportunity to get some tax monies in there to help cover some of these costs that we're talking about. So I'm not an expert in that regard, but I know those were some of the reasons why the economic revitalization area is important as a vehicle to at least bring some additional development in. So just wanted to share that. And if there are no other questions, I move for adoption.
Councilman Simmons, hand up.
I have one additional comment for the council in general on this matter, Mr. Mack.
Councilman Simmons had his hand up first.
Okay.
Yeah,
put me in line.
I just want to say Councilman Prevolinski brought up a valid point. And with this being in my ward, this is a perfect opportunity for economic growth, residential, commercial, industrial, and that was what has been being discussed. And hey, I'm anxious for sewage and water to be put in place out there. I'll champion that cause.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Prevolinski. Oh, go. Councilman Daddy?
Yeah, real quick. And when you, like you said, when Angie said, when this gets put into that revitalization area and it eventually ends up as part of a TIF district, and this is, the one has not started to generate funds, but once we start getting businesses into that TIF area, it's going to start to generate funds, and eventually down the line, this is going to be coming out of redevelopment in regards to the funding numbers and working out how that would cost. And I know from researching this out, the way it happens in other cities is that a lot of times for that infrastructure, they'll float bonds out there in which then the tax dollars would then pay back the bonds. So we'll pay the interest payments and then eventually the principal. The bond comes to maturity. So that's the funding mechanism and how that thing will eventually work.
Councilman Prevolinski?
With that being said, I'm just trying to make the council aware that we have an obligation, and it doesn't, and it's going to be it's going to be a costly endeavor, and you need to be aware that it's going to be in the millions. So, from the discussions I've had, so to think that a TIF area is going to take that over and develop those funds to get them going, the initial investment is going to have to come from the city. So with that being said, is I want everybody to be aware of that if we make the investment out there, that's why I'm saying this tonight, that the Redevelopment Commission is put on notice. If there is a TIF put into place, that they're going to repay us the money on, or work out something with the city on the initial investment on putting the infrastructure in. Because what I'm getting at is that there should have been a plan in place when this was annexed by the Plan Commission, not by us, or I'll say the Planning Department, when they proposed this, because it's state law that you have to provide the infrastructure, and that timetable is running out. It's clicking, and it's, I don't know, about a year and a half left. So I want everybody to be very well aware of this.
Thank you,
And I'm
sir.
not saying it's a bad thing to do it. You know, you got to develop an area, and sewer and water is very important in that development because, as the chief has said, I understand it, chief, and I also, like many other people, support economic development. But we need to be aware that we're going to have to make that initial investment. Thank you.
Okay, is
I
there,
move for adoption.
Second.
on the roll call, Ms. Nyla?
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
Mr. Mack,
Aye.
Ms. Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Jacobs,
Aye.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Aye.
and Ms. Tillman.
Aye.
We have 9 in favor and no one opposed.
All righty, Ms. Nyla, will you please read the first ordinance on first reading by title only?
An ordinance on first reading by title only, an ordinance vacating a portion of public street in the city of Michigan City located between US 12 and the abandoned railroad right-of-way at 1501 East 2nd Street. And this is introduced by Mr. Dabney and Ms. Deitch.
And do the authors have anything to add this evening?
What?
You have anything, Angie?
Oh, there we go. Mr. Dabney?
Oh, I was asking Angie if she had anything to go on.
I don't.
Okay. Yeah, so what it is, just a vacation of some land. And what this is going to do is move forward to be able to allow more development down there. So just vacating property. I mean, we've done something similar to this, if everyone can recall, over by Shoreline. I believe there was an alley back there that we vacated, and then we gave that property or that land to Shoreline, and they were able to expand that outside. So it's the same kind of concept. We're vacating land for somebody to have and to develop further on that property.
Okay, are there any comments from the public?
Yes, I have a comment, if I may.
Yes, sir.
My name is Randy Hester. I'm an attorney and representing Genco, and this came about because as part of a development or a project that we're working on, it was discovered that although everything else around it was in our name, that there was this abandoned street that was right in the middle of our property. We surrounded except for the street and for the old abandoned railroad track. And we were asked to consolidate the legal description. And that's when we discovered that this parcel had somehow been omitted from previous cleaning up of the title of that area. So that's what we're trying to just correct.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the council? Or from the public? Any other comments from the public? Council comments. Any comments from the council? Comments from the council, seeing that there are
I
none.
move for adoption.
Support.
Isn't this going to be held over?
This is on first reading.
First
No,
reading.
I thought you said, I'm so sorry. My apologies. I'm thinking it's a resolution.
No.
Okay, there are no other comments. This ordinance will be held over on second reading at the May 4th council meeting. You can expedite it then, I imagine. Ms. Nyla, will you please read the second ordinance on first reading by title only?
An ordinance on first reading by title only, the approving additional appropriation in the budget of the general fund for printing, advertising, and contractual services for the Michigan City Clerk's Office. And this is introduced by Mr. Mack, Ms. Tillman, Mr. Paul Prespolinski, Mr. Don Prespolinski, and Mr. Fitzpatrick.
And do any of the authors have anything to add this evening? Mr. Prespolinski, Don?
Yeah, it's apparent to me that the clerk's office needs additional funding to buy office supplies, paper, printing, advertising, contractual services in order to keep the city business going and to keep all the council members informed of things that are going on. So I think this funding is desperately needed, and we should all support it when it comes time for a vote.
Thank you, sir. And, Councilman Dyke?
I would like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Okay. Councilman Dadden?
Yeah, I was just trying to see, because I understand the printing and advertising and the contractual services, the 10,000 going to contractual services. I didn't get a chance to call Gail and ask before the meeting.
The contractual services, if I may, can I answer?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay. The contractual services are mostly for Muni Code, and any ordinance that you change has to be codified into Muni Code. It also addresses and puts it on our webpage in Muni Code as well. Right now, we have 7 ordinances that we have passed since January. And I asked how much it would cost to codify these and get them sent to the city. And right now it's $5,800. And I'm down to $2,600 in my budget. So, and I know that we have a lot of things that you guys want to do this year. So I do need the funds.
And I want to thank you, Gail, for not telling everyone that you told me about that. About 3 weeks ago when I was in my office picking up some data. So thanks for refreshing me, but you already told me. Thank you.
Any other council comments? Or comments from the authors? Mr. Simmons?
I'd like to be added as a sponsor as well.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the authors?
Yeah, I have one other comment, is that, I think that we all have busy schedules, and that I believe that this correspondence needs to be mailed out, and Gail's job is a very, very important vehicle in the day-to-day workings of city government. And I want to commend her and her staff, because I think they do an excellent job. When you need information, she is ready. Her staff, they are ready to supply it and do whatever to help you. So, I don't think Gail gets enough Gail and her staff gets enough recognition. I just want to say at this time, Gail, publicly, thank you very much. I think you do a spectacular job in that office. Spectacular. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think I'm the only other author that's left, and I'll just reiterate my appreciation for Gail and everyone in that office. You just don't know until you get these type of jobs how important it is to have accurate information and timely information. And
Thank
now
you,
on to public comments. Gail, there was a question in the chat from a public, Chris. And it was,
yes. Hi, Gail. I was just wondering, how much does it cost for, how much does Unicode to post a new ordinance?
Take your name and address though first, Chris.
My name is Chris. Last name is Buckley. Address is 1403 Lakeshore in Michigan City.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on how large the ordinance is. I mean, it depends on if you're changing for rezoning or if you're changing it to change a law within the city. It just depends on how large it is. You can contact me at my office and I'll be glad to give you a copy of our invoice showing you the different ones we have done.
I was just curious if it's like, is it like a couple $1,000s each time there's a new ordinance?
No, it's not a couple thousand, not at all.
Okay, that was what my question.
But I'd be glad to meet with you or give me a call and I can show you.
Any other comments from the public? Any other comments from the public? Public comments are now closed. Are there any comments from the council? Ms. Deitch?
I do have one question. Ms. Nyla, as far as year over year, because we know how important the office is because we rely heavily on you, so we appreciate that. But are you saying that we're just way ahead and we're putting forth more information and ordinances than normal, or?
Yeah, no, I think this is great because, you know, a lot of our laws and ordinances are older and need to be updated according to what we're doing in our lives in Michigan City. And Michael and I have talked about that. And there is so much to be changed and updated that you don't realize it. And we haven't codified the entire Muni Code book. I think it was 11 years ago when we did that, and all departments worked to update everything and change. So.
Well, I just want to make sure, so when budget time comes around, you add all that additional money, because
Well, see, this last year due to COVID, the budget, it went way down. In 2019, I had to come back for an additional $15,000 due to a lot of changes we did.
Thank you.
So we're back to being busy and doing a good job.
Thank you. Thank you for that information.
Any other comments from the council? Any other council comments? Paul? You like?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm good. Thanks.
Okay, all righty. And I'll just close out by saying that we had that conversation about updating things, and there's just a ton of things that could and should be updated if we can get to it. And we might want to take a peek at, I was investigating some things in Sacramento. Their stuff just goes straight to a website, and it's all, I mean, it's all computerized. It might be something we want to look into. It looks nice. I'll show it to you some other time. There are no other comments. This ordinance will be held over on second reading at the May 4th council meeting. Ms. Nyla, will you please read the third ordinance on first reading by title only?
An ordinance on first reading by title only, creating section 2-326 in chapter 2 of the Michigan City Municipal Code to require council pre-approval for all grants having a local match and requiring the presentation of documentation and detailed information about the grant to the council. And this is introduced by Ms. Deitch and Mr. Paul Prespolinski.
And do the authors have anything to add this evening?
Yes, I sent out an amendment to, I would like to amend by substitution, but before I do that, this amendment is to make sure, this ordinance was to make sure that anytime a department or a commission or board is seeking a grant, that they provide us the information in advance if it requires a match from the city council, so that we don't get caught off guard by matching grants that we have not seen or approved, and then we feel like we're pressured into approving something because it's a good cause, but we didn't even have any line of sight of it in advance. So I move to amend by substitution the ordinance, and you all received it in email. And the reason why I'm amending it by substitution, it should not have had the park department in there, but also there are two forms that the controller's office has that exist already that ask for a lot of that information in advance, and a lot of times the controller's office doesn't know that a grant has been submitted in some cases as well. And then, then we have to backtrack and create a fund and all of that. So the amendment is to request that they fill these forms out when they put the grant, submit the grant proposal, that they submit that as well. And I added those two items as Exhibit A and B, the forms for that. So I move that we amend by substitution.
Second.
We have a second by Paul Prespolinski. Ms. Nyla on the vote?
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
Mr. Mack,
Aye.
Ms. Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Jagus,
Aye.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
and Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
We have 9 in favor and no one opposed.
Substitution is done. Is there anything else from the authors?
Nope, I guess you can move to public comment.
Okay, do we have any public comment? Is there any comment from the public? Comments from the public? Public comments are now closed. Any comments from the council? Seeing that there are none, there are no other comments, this ordinance will be held over on second reading at the May 4th, 2021 council meeting. Ms. Nyla, will you please read the fourth ordinance on first reading by title only?
An ordinance on first reading by title only, creating Article 5 in Chapter 26 of the Michigan City Municipal Code to require a permit for short-term rentals and creating Section 50-167 in Chapter 50 of the Michigan City Municipal Code to create a permit fee and fine. And this is introduced by Ms. Jagus and Mr. Dabney.
And does the author have anything to add this evening?
Yes, just a brief explanation. We are one of the top cities for short-term rentals like Airbnb and Vrbo. And some of the residents have come to us and asked, how can we ensure we're going to enjoy the summer as well? Because as you know, sometimes that can get out of hand. So we thought it would be a good idea to have a permit and be able to contact people who have these places. And if they are constantly violating noise, trash, parking, whatever it is that's, disturbing the neighborhood, they would have their permit revoked and they will not be able to do a short-term rental. So there's an application process that's not very challenging. It's contact information. How are you presenting your property? Are you saying 12 people can sleep there? Are you saying 20 can, et cetera? And it's just a permit so that if there is a problem, and we talked about it with the planning department and also with the police chief, how does it get reported? How does it get recorded? And if you have 3 violations, you can lose your permit. You can no longer do short-term rentals. Have I missed anything, Brent? I don't know.
Yeah, I'll come in. No, you covered the ordinance pretty well. I just wanted to stress that just about 90% of the ordinance itself is actually pulled directly from state law, except for the fining mechanisms and the requirements of a permit. What we would have to display on the houses to show permit numbers and things like that, so the police would easily be able to identify houses when they showed up at these different places. This is a process that actually started with a meeting, I would say it was August, September of last year, where I had Chief Campbell come out with me, and we met with a couple of residents out there in the Canada Neighbors area. And this is where we just started to have a discussion about this. Other cities are doing these as well all over the place because Airbnb and these short-term rentals are popping up all over the place. It's not just happening here on the beach area. I'm seeing those in areas out here in the 6th Ward as well. So just getting a little bit of control to keep the peace in the neighborhood. The fines in that are not exorbitant at all in our minds, but we just want to make sure that, the residents, the permanent residents who are staying here, have quality of life, and it's not being disturbed by people that are coming in with short-term rentals, like what Dahlia said, as with trash and noise and different ordinance violations. So that's what we're looking to do with this ordinance here.
Okay, are there any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Public comments are now closed. Councilwoman Tillman.
Either one of the sponsors could answer this question. So the $150, is it related to the goal? I mean, is that $150 going back to the general fund? Is it going back to the property owners of these Airbnbs to help pay their fines? So who's going to utilize or who will oversee this $150 permit fee?
Okay, so my understanding is it goes to the general fund. It will be implemented by the planning department. You will go there to get the permit, the $150. It's by state mandate. This is the maximum you can charge, and there is no renewal fee. So once you register, if you keep your information updated, you don't have to pay a second year or third year. It's good for a year. So that's done through the planning department, and the planning department will also keep track of the permit numbers and the violations, so that if we know that a property has had 3 violations, they're going to get their permit revoked. And, there's a process. They go in front of the Board of Works, et cetera. So it goes into the general fund is my understanding.
Councilman Don Prespolinski.
Yeah, Mr. President, I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor on this.
Okay, sir. Councilman Simmons.
I would like to be added as well as a co-sponsor.
Councilwoman Deitch.
Do we know, I know with the fire department, the fire marshal, they don't really inspect anything less than 3 units in the city. I don't know if this is an opportunity, if people are going to be renting them out, or I don't know what that process is, but we might want to think about that too from a fire inspection. If someone's coming in from another place, just like a hotel, they have to have a certain level of, code or whatever. And, I had this conversation with someone from the LaPorte County Visitor and Tourism Bureau, because I know that this is, I think we get income off of this. The Tourism Bureau does.
You're right.
Just like it's a hotel. So if people are going to run their homes like a business, we might want to think about that, because that permit is for police to identify a location if there's an issue. But what about the fire department? So we may want to maybe follow up with the fire department to see if there's anything that they would like to add or suggest, since we're early on in the process. And I would like to be added as co-sponsor.
Councilman Fitzpatrick.
I have a question, Mr. Mack. Mr. Mack.
Is that Paul?
Oh, yes, it is.
Go ahead, Paul.
I have a question. Right now, are these premises, are they inspected at all by, are they identified as, do we have a rental inspection fee or some kind of mechanism for rental units in general to be inspected in the city of Michigan City? Was that ever passed?
No.
For, they inspect the, for fire, smoke alarms, and carbon monoxide detectors. And is there an inspection process at all? I mean, is there? Could anybody answer that first question?
Most people believe no. I see a lot of heads shaking no. Nobody's aware of it. Gail says no.
No.
Okay, well, I'm not an inspector, and I don't know what they do at hotels, and if people are running their places of, I know there's a lot of areas that have rentals in Michigan City, but don't you think we ought to first get an inspection of the premises to make sure they're up to code before we even let them rent? And then go on from there? Isn't this this ordinance? And also, I would, if we're going to be issuing fines, has there been any talk with the planning department to put some kind of booklet together on what if the police are called out there, that there's some kind of, they have a guide so they can write the violations and turn them into the planning department? Because I know we're not going to be calling any city inspectors out at 9, 10 o'clock at night. Has there been any discussions like that?
All right, I'll take that. First of all, we met with, I'm going to go backward. I'm going to take the second half of your question first, Councilman Paul Prespolinski. We were talking about the system when tickets and violations are written. Dahlia and I met with the chief of police and Skylar York the other day to discuss how that's going to be handled. When tickets are turned in, who's going to handle that and how it's going to end up in the planning department to be recorded to be able to follow violation 1, 2, 3, and so forth. So these are the logistics that have to be worked out, where they're going to work with the chief of police and Skylar. You're going to get that together in regards to how they're going to record these tickets, these violations, and put them on record so that everybody will be able to see that at the same time. And talking about inspections, we did discuss this, and we talked about if we require inspections, when would we require an inspection? Because these are people's homes that they're renting their homes. Would we, every time somebody goes to rent, that could be every weekend. An inspection once a year. I mean, we were talking about how onerous this could get if we did inspections and so forth. So that was part of the conversation. And when we ran this through the attorneys, I see Mr. Myers on here. Maybe he can jump in as well on that. But I know that was a part of the initial conversation in regards to doing inspections. But we decided not to include that in the ordinance. If Jim is there to make any comment, would you please, sir?
Yeah, this is Jim. The Indiana legislature has placed very limited, very strong restrictions on what the city can require in regards to these short-term rentals. Mm-hmm. And this ordinance maximizes what the legislation, Indiana law allows. Inspection is not one of those that you are allowed to do. So that's why it's not in this ordinance. One of the reasons, obviously, it would be onerous if you had to do it once a week. Somebody would have to be paid to do it, and $150 wouldn't cover that for 5 years. But the long and short of it is, Indiana law does not require that, or does not allow that. We all went through this regular rentals that Paul asked about. There are also Indiana laws that very strictly limit how much the city can require of rental properties. And I don't want to get into it now because we don't have the ordinance, but suffice it to say that, regular inspections, well, even the fee is topped out for registration, which is all you can do is require registration. And I believe that top fee for that is $5 per unit. So you're probably not going to be able to afford doing a lot of anything in reference to rentals. But in reference to these short-term rentals, Amber and I, and mostly Amber, worked to try to maximize the amount or the scope of requirements that the city could impose on short-term rentals, and this ordinance reflects those maximum amounts.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Fitzpatrick, you got your little yellow hand up? Was that? You on mute?
Yeah, so I had a few comments that I had to have. One, I mean, I understand the desire to regulate things, I guess, as government. That's what government's natural tendency is, to want to regulate things. But to me, this just seems like a tax on entrepreneurs and people looking to supplement their income. I don't own any Airbnbs, and I don't know anybody who does, and I haven't had any complaints from anyone saying that someone from an Airbnb was too rowdy or causing a disruption. I mean, we already have ordinances and laws in place that the police can utilize when someone is being rowdy or outside what the norm for a community is. I don't see why this needs to be further implemented to specifically target and label people who are looking to make some extra money. I get it. I know there's always a war on Illinois people, and I'm pretty sure that's where a lot of this stems from. But I just don't think that it's our place to sit and say who can make money or who can't make money at their houses and how much it's going to cost to use your own personal property to do what it is you feel necessary. Like I said, we already have laws and rules in place for when someone's too loud or when someone's being disorderly. The police are already dispatching to those calls. So what extra emphasis will this ordinance use to target specific individuals? Like, okay, so there's a party on this block over here, but on this block, someone's on the porch loud and they're an Airbnb block. So let's go ahead and target these individuals because of a permit that they have labeled on their home, which seems completely ridiculous. And I would think that's some type of violation. I mean, I would feel violated if I was operating some type of service and I had to label my home with that. I mean, I may not want everyone to know what my doings are inside my home. And will we be looking to add like Uber and Lyft to this? Because that's just people using their own private property to make extra money and help people who need a service. If people are, unable to buy a home or rent a home long term in this area, and they do want to enjoy the beach or hang out in Michigan City and do something for a day or two, so we're gonna overregulate the need for people or the people who have the desire to do so, because like, well, if I do this now, I got to pay a fee. And if someone rents, then I'm going to get fined and then I won't be able to do it anyway. So with all of these measures that we're looking to put in place, it seems like it's just being discouraging to anybody who wants to do anything, entrepreneurial with their own private property. And also how much estimated costs will be incurred by the planning department, the fire department, the police department to police these individual entities that we're going to designate as, I guess, potential nuisances. I just think that we should probably table this until we can have an in-person workshop and the stakeholders could actually be present to state their positions, because I don't think we have all the information. I don't know if anyone out of us owns any Airbnbs or have been personally affected by someone operating the Airbnb. So I just think there's a lot more that needs to happen before we could just pass this. Thank you.
Councilman Don Prespolinski.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I know I jumped on as a co-sponsor, and Councilman Paul Prespolinski brought the point up, and that was with the fining process, the people who's ever going to write the tickets, where do the tickets go, how do they get passed on to the planning department, and who's going to manage the paper chase. And I have a problem with that, because I guess now that I heard that, we're kind of putting the cart before the horse, because we don't even have all the details worked out for this ordinance. So are we going to go ahead and pass this? And then we're going to say, oh yeah, now we're going to do this with the paperwork. And this guy's going to, all that needs to be worked out before this is even passed. All the details need to be worked out so everybody on this council knows exactly who writes the ticket, where the tickets go, how they get processed, and the paper trail behind this whole process. So with that being said, I want to make sure that that happens. And I want to make the motion to table this ordinance right now.
I'll second.
Ms. Nylam on the vote.
Who's the second?
Tracy.
Ms. Tillman.
Tracy, okay. Mr. Max?
Aye.
Ms. Deitch?
Aye.
Mr. Don Prespolinski?
Aye.
Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Jiggis,
Nay.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Nay.
and Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Aye.
There are 7 in favor and 2 opposed.
I did make my hand up to mention something
Me too.
that Councilman Fitzpatrick said. The violations are not any different than any other place would get for noise. It's not going to be specifically targeting them. However, if there's constantly noise from different renters in the same
Point of order.
property,
Point of
bothering.
order, Mr.
Point of
President.
order. I think we need to just, if we're gonna have, table it, we table it. If we're gonna need a workshop, that sounds like what it is, because it just sounds like there's Q&A.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and what my point of order is that once a ordinance a motion is made to table and you vote on that and the table passes, no more discussion, you move on to the next ordinance.
quite a few people are discussing though, but, so, yeah,
I understand. I
I
just
was
wanted
attempting to do that, so, yeah, she's not the only
Is
one.
this tabled until a workshop or till it goes to?
Let's table it until we have a workshop, because it just sounds like questions.
Yeah.
People just need questions answered. Okay, Ms. Nyla, will you please read the first ordinance on second reading by title?
An ordinance on second reading by title only, establishing deadlines for the preparation and submission of drafts of proposed annual city budgets and tax levies to the Common Council. And this is introduced by Mr. Fitzpatrick and co-sponsored by Mr. Paul Prespolinski, Ms. Deitch, and Ms. Tillman.
And do the authors have anything to add this evening?
Yes, Mr. President. So I do wanted to, thank you. I did want to make note of sponsors amendment, authors amendment. And what I added was the wording creating section 2-325 in chapter 2 of the Michigan City Municipal Code 2. And then the title reads on, just so that this does get added to the code. Mr. Myers, is there more I need to do with that?
No, I mean, it's an amendment, so everybody should vote on it.
Okay.
Since it's past first reading.
Okay. So what I move to add that amendment
We have
to
a
the
second,
title.
Second.
and we've got a motion by Councilman Fitzpatrick and a second by Councilman Paul Prespolinski. Ms. Nyla on the vote?
Ms. Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Aye.
Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Jiggis,
Aye.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick
Aye.
and Mr. Mack.
Aye.
There is 9 in favor and no one opposed. Sorry.
Okay.
So Mr. President, the rest I had to add. So we did discuss this at the today's Finance Committee meeting, and what the members of the council were looking to see is some of the language modified to maybe allow a little extra time, or not to say that by July 6th we need this the entire budget for approval, because speaking with Controller Hoffmaster, it doesn't seem like that would be possible by that time. But we did request that the drafts from the departments be submitted, and she didn't seem opposed to that. But we do need to probably put another amendment in to do this. So I don't know if we need to probably table this on second reading. But
Councilman Deitch?
Before you table it, I wanted
Yeah.
to make another comment in.
Okay. So, but basically, we didn't want to force the hand of the controls officer, but we do want to get things moving faster and not in an attempt to undermine what they have to do or get inaccurate information, as was stated, but to make sure that we have ample time to do our due diligence to get our questions answered and responded to in a timely manner before it's time to be returned to the state or wherever it goes after it leaves us.
Okay, Councilwoman Deitch.
Thank you.
And also the one thing I wanted to point out, because I don't know if you recall in a recent meeting we had with the park department, and they talked about how they would turn in their sheets to the mayor, and those positions would get cut. So what we really want is to see what the departments are actually turning in prior to them getting cut. And just understanding what they're really requesting, and if it's something that it's important or a need, whether it's police, fire, park, street, whoever it is, that we see those sheets that come in that are submitted. I think that's just good business for the council to know what the departments are asking for. I'm sold on a later date, because I do believe they need to do their, she shared with us, Housemaster shared with us, about reconciling the June 30th date. And it's just important for us to get the information early, but I would like to see those sheets as we're preparing the budget in advance of any cuts being made by the office. So I just wanted to hear that, and I'll let people talk before I make a motion.
Councilman Dabney.
So are we asking to see those initial expense sheets from all the departments before the mayor gets the chance to work with the department head?
Yes.
So we're in on his process of building his budget.
Well, building his budget that we're going to pass, and I'm sorry for the back and forth, but I've had a couple of departments reach out to me. I'm not going to say who, but it was evident in that meeting with the park department that they've been getting cut multiple years over several years. And I didn't realize that they were asking for funding. So that's just my opinion, though.
I hear you.
Don Prespolinski.
Yeah, in talking to a person that's very experienced in financial matters in the county, and telling them what we wanted to do here as a council, they suggested that, or they thought that June was way too early in order to try to have the city put a budget together, but did agree with possibly the 1st of August, somewhere in that time frame, to get a budget put together. Now, that doesn't mean they put the worksheets where the council can't see the worksheets that the department heads are passing in. I think that's a good idea. But to force the controller's office to have a budget ready by the 1st of June, I thought that was way out in front of the curve to try to do that. I don't know. I don't even know how they can do that. And I know that we can always say, yeah, we can try something different, but still we have to respect their experience in trying to get this work done and put it together. And I'll agree, being the head of the finance committee for a couple of years and getting those budgets at the end of September, the beginning of, or the end of August, and the middle of September, and trying to get all those meetings in, and like Councilman Fitzpatrick has alluded to, and then you try to get information on a question that you have, and that always takes 3 or 4 days to get back to you on that, and it just kind of just drags the whole process out, which I think it's very cumbersome anyway to go through that process. But I would be in favor of, if the controller's office could get that budget to us, say the second week of August, but for sure, let us have access to the worksheets that the departments are handing in and let us view those to begin with. Thank you.
Councilwoman Tillman. Tracy? Oh, no.
Hello, Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Go
ahead, Paul.
As going through this process as many times as I have, and I'm going to make a comment that I went through about before last year 17 years of budget handling, and I really felt the process we're just too rushed. And in saying that, I think that things can be done different. You don't have to keep to the same status quo, and that we can be innovative so we can see the dollars and know what's there. So we know how much money there is in what I call funny money. So with that being said, we need to hold people's feet to the fire and I believe there's a lot of pushback on this ordinance. And the only way we're going to get anything done is by supporting this ordinance. Some people may feel that we're trying to do something to the controller's office. Well, I'm not, because I want accurate information that we can all sit down and go through and get the correct information. And that, I think I believe it can be done, because if you've been doing the budget that long, you know how much money that you're anticipated collecting, you know your max levy, and, we've already been through all these different tax caps and different things in the process. So they should have a handle on it. We got computers. I think that we could generate a workable document, and we're not talking about I don't think we're talking about a document that's prepared in the style that they want to send to the state. I'm looking at a document that we use as a workbook, and then the controller's office we can work off this workbook, and then the controller's office can fill it out and send it into the state on their form that they have to use, their state prescribed form. Make it easier for the council and everybody and the general public to go through the budget process, to understand the budget process. Thank you.
Councilman Fitzpatrick.
I want to make a motion to table this on second reading until our next meeting.
Support.
There's been a motion to table and a second by Councilman Deitch. Ms. Nylam on the vote.
Mr. Don Prespolinski.
Aye.
Mr. Simmons.
Aye.
Ms. Jiggis.
Aye.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski.
Aye.
Ms. Tillman.
Aye.
Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Aye.
Mr. Mack.
Aye.
And Ms. Deitch.
Aye.
We have 9 in favor and no one opposed.
Thank you. Ms. Nyla, would you please read the second ordinance on second reading by title only?
An ordinance on second reading by title only, amending the zoning map of the city of Michigan City, LaPorte County, Indiana, for property currently owned by Woodlawn Holdings Zero LLC Rose Series from R2B to R3B. And this is introduced by Mr. Dabney, Ms. Deitch, and Mr. Don Prespolinski.
And do the authors have anything to add this evening? Don?
Mr. President, I'd like to have third reading on this also tonight.
Okay, is that a motion? Do we have a second?
Support.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion to put this to third reading by Councilman Prespolinski and a second by Mr. Dabney. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
No, there's a nay. Okay. So this one needs to be unanimous, right?
No,
No.
No.
All right. So
No.
Ms. Nyla, on the vote, on the roll call.
We're gonna do
Wait.
third reading
wait,
first.
second readings
Oh, second reading. So it's still just second reading then.
into the public.
Okay, does the author have anything to add this evening? Nope. Any public comments? Comments from the public? Comments from the public. Public comment is now closed. The council, any comments or questions? Nope. Okay. There are no other comments. This ordinance will be held over on
No,
third.
we're doing third reading. Right? Yeah, we're doing third
We
reading.
are doing third reading.
Yeah,
Okay. So,
I have to read it.
okay.
Okay, an ordinance on third reading by title only, amending the zoning map of the city of Michigan City, LaPorte County, Indiana for property currently owned by Woodland Holding Zero LLC Rose Series from R2B to R3B. And it's introduced by Mr. Dabney, Ms. Deitch, and Mr. Don Prespolinski.
Okay, on third reading, does the author have anything to add this evening?
Real quick, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
This here is, as council members are aware, just for the public, this is the old library building that is downtown. I believe that's 8th Street, that they're turning into a bed and breakfast operation. And that's why they are changing the zoning from R2B to R3B. Thank you.
Any other comments from any of the authors? Nope. Any public comment? Comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Public comment is now closed. Any council comments?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Report.
And a motion to approve by Councilman Don Prespolinski and a second by Councilman Dabney. Ms. Nyla on the vote?
Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Jiggis,
Aye.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman, Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
Mr. Mack,
Aye.
Ms. Deitch,
Aye.
and Mr. Don Prespolinski. Mr. Don Prespolinski,
Aye.
I have 9 in favor and no one opposed.
Thank you, Ms. Nyla. Ms. Nyla, would you please read the third ordinance on second reading by title only?
An ordinance on second reading by title only, creating section 2-411 in chapter 2 of the Michigan City Municipal Code to create an ARP, Coronavirus Local Physical Recovery Fund, to receive funding awarded to the city through the American Rescue Plan Act, ARP, of 2021. And this is introduced by Mr. Mack, Ms. Deitch, Mr. Don Prespolinski, and Mr. Paul Prespolinski.
And do any of the authors have anything to add this evening?
Mr. President, I'd like to have third reading on this ordinance tonight also.
Okay, there's been a motion for third reading and a second by Councilman Paul Prespolinski. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing that there's none, we start over on third reading.
Second reading still.
Second reading.
I have a comment as an author.
Yes.
This is, again, just for the public, this is an ordinance to set the fund, to establish the fund for the American Rescue money that we received. The planning phase of that is still, will be ongoing, but like I said, last council meeting, and Controller Hoffmaster shared the correct information. I misspoke on the timeline, so I just want to make sure that everybody understands that we received half of the money in 2021, half in 2022, but we have until the end of 2024. I thought we had to spend half the money by the end of this year, so I was anxious, but we have till 2024. So I just wanted to make sure I clear that up.
Any other comments from any of the authors? Comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Comments from the public? Public comments are now closed. Any other
Sorry,
comments?
1 second. There is one.
Oh, is it? I'll slow it down, Caleb. Sorry.
Thanks, President. Sorry about it. I just was wondering, Chris Buckley at 1403 Lakeshore Drive. I was wondering what items can these funds be used for, out of curiosity?
Yeah. Can I? I'll answer part of that if I may, Mr. President.
Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
One of the caveats on the money is to make necessary investments in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. Another caveat is responding to workers performing essential work during the COVID-19 public health emergency crisis, and to supplement their monies with a premium pay initiative, and also to provide the extent of the reduction in revenue that metro cities and local government or county incurred during the COVID-19 pandemic, and also with respect to the coronavirus disease or negative economic impacts, including assistance to households, small businesses, small or not-for-profits, and to aid impacted industries such as tourism, travel, and hospitality. So it has a lot of different components to it, and they're pretty specific on what they can be used on, sir.
Okay. Any other public
good?
comment? Any other public comments?
Michael.
Any
Let's
other public?
finish answering, if that was okay.
No, it's that was,
I had a response to Mr. Butler.
well, we've got our comment sections, and we can all use that to
Okay.
answer that question. We haven't done council comments yet. So any other public comments? Any other public comments? Comments from the council? Here we go. Councilman Dyke.
Oh, all I was going to say to Mr. Buckley is that in the ordinance, it lists out the information, but there's a lot of material from the National League of Cities as well that spells it out. But in the council ordinance, it lists out the 4 buckets of the 4 buckets that we can use the money for in the ordinance that was created as well. So it's spelled out if you would like a copy.
Councilman Dabney?
Yeah, I was just going to tell Mr. Buckley, I don't know if he left out here, but I was going to say we had a PowerPoint presentation that was presented to us in a public meeting. So I was going to say if he put his email down, I sent him in the chat feature here. If he put his email down there, I'll forward that PowerPoint presentation to him so he can take a peek at that.
Okay, Councilman Don Prespolinski.
No comment.
Any other Councilwoman Dyke?
Are we on second or third reading? I can't remember.
I thought we were on third.
Second.
We're on second.
Put it on third?
Thank you.
Okay.
Third, Gail?
I'm going to read third.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, council comments are done. Okay, just now, can you please read the ordinance again on third reading?
An ordinance on third reading by title only, creating section 2-411 in chapter 2 of the Michigan City Municipal Code to create an ARP coronavirus local physical recovery fund to receive funding awarded to the city through the American Rescue Plan Act ARP of 2021. And this is introduced by Mr. Mack, Ms. Deitch, Mr. Don Prespolinski, and Mr. Paul Prespolinski.
Okay, and as an author, I'll just start off by clarifying that this ordinance is just a bucket to hold the money. The money can be spent on a vast variety of things that are even far more detailed than Mr. Paul Prespolinski detailed. A community in Seattle, Washington's got a lot of immigrants versus a community in other places are going to tailor these far differently. And how that money goes to each individual group to assist, it's just almost unlimited. There's if you really look into it. So the first step in this process is creating the mechanism by which the federal government can give us the money. The next step is going to be the council and the mayor coming together to create an ordinance that creates our priorities. And then after that is the individual finances handed out to people and groups that are within the purview of that ordinance that we create. So the most important and the next step in this process is the creation of that ordinance so that we have the ability to send it out to an agreed upon group between the administration and the council. Any other comments from any of the authors? Seeing that there are none, are there any comments from the council or from the public? Any other comments from the public? I'm going to give you a second, Caleb. I guess there's not any other council comments.
Motion to approve.
Councilwoman Deitch?
Second.
I recognize Councilwoman Deitch. She had her hand up.
That's all I was gonna do.
Yeah. Okay. There's been a
Support.
I made the motion. President Mack, I made the motion to approve.
Can we just jump? Yeah, I heard you, Councilman.
Okay.
Made a motion to approve, and Councilwoman Deitch had the second. Ms. Nyla on the vote.
Ms. Jagus?
Aye.
Mr. Paul Prespolinski?
Aye.
Thank you. Ms. Tillman?
Aye.
Mr. Dabney?
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
Mr. Mack?
Aye.
Ms. Deitch?
Aye.
Mr. Don Prespolinski?
Aye.
And Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
We have 9 in favor and no one opposed.
All right, Ms. Nyla, will you please read the fourth ordinance on second reading by title only?
An ordinance on second reading by title only, amending ordinance number 4549, commonly known as the 2021 salary ordinance to increase the hourly rate of pay for administrative assistants in the park department. And this is introduced by Ms. Jagus, Mr. Mack, and Mr. Dabney.
And do the authors have anything to add this evening?
Yeah, I want to step in real quick and just kind of bring some information to the conversation that was going back and forth. The last time we talked about this, and we were talking about, well, they should have put the raise in the budget, but last year, we didn't put any raises. There were no raises in the budget. So it could not have been put in last year. We could not have approved because the direction was no raises across the board. We were talking about what they should have put the raise in the budget and all that kind of stuff, but the directive to the department heads and everybody like that was no raises last year. So just wanted to put that bit of information out there just to say we were getting everybody talking about what they should have put that in the budget. There were no raises last year.
Any other comments from the authors? Any other authors? Councilman Jiggis?
I just want to say that we're just trying to bring the pay rate equal to the other departments so we can get the best person for the job. And I believe it's a benefit to the city.
And as an author, I'm supporting it because I believe all of our people have higher pay rates. And I don't believe in tying the low end of the pay rate to the next person. The logic that, you know, if you give a McDonald's worker a $3 raise, that every manager in the history of hierarchy is going to have to get a $3 raise, so they can't be that close. I'm just not a believer in that. You hire people based on market availability. And if I give this person a raise, it doesn't necessarily follow that their boss deserves a raise. If I can hire that boss for that same, if the market for that boss is a certain price, it's that price. But the market on the low end of a lot of positions are far too low. And for that reason, along with others, but that's my primary reason on this one. Any comments from the public? Comments from the public? Shannon? Yes. Ms. Easy?
I'd like to say a couple of things. Number one, thank you for your time and consideration of this request. I'd like to thank Councilwoman Deitch for bringing up the fact that this raise has not been presented to the council. And many times I've said that I've been through 7 budget cycles trying to get these raises approved, but you've never seen them. And I guess I never realized that, because for transparency reasons, Mrs. Deitch has a good point. You should, as a council, be able to see the budgets that are presented as a department, the budgets that are presented after the mayor and the controller do their adjustments, and the budgets that are presented to you. And that has not been the cycle that I've been used to. So many of you have said, you've never seen this in 6 years. No, you've never seen it, because it goes to the mayor and the controller, and then if they cut it, you don't see it. So that's a great point, Councilwoman. And I think that needs to be something that's adjusted within our city government, for all fairness, to see what the department submits, why the controller and the mayor cut it before it gets to you. So thank you for bringing that up. And again, I'm just looking for equitable wages, for equitable jobs, so we can hire and retain good employees that have some longevity, because the park department is really struggling with employees right now, all across the board, from lifeguards to zoo employees to maintenance. And without equitable pay, we can't compete, and we're just struggling. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate your finance committee meeting and considering our proposal. And if it's not voted through tonight, I look forward to talking to you all about the same subject at our 2022 budget cycle, which is quickly approaching. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from the public? Any other comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Public comments are now closed. Any council comments? Councilman Fitzpatrick?
Mr. Michael Mack?
Yeah.
Mr. President?
I've already recognized Councilman Sean Fitzpatrick, sir. Just one second.
Okay.
I'll line you up next.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I agree with all of the sentiments that have been expressed on this matter. I do agree that the pay is far too low for the park departments. I do agree that we should be, having some input, because if it's something that the mayor doesn't want and we think is necessary for the overall improvement of the community, I think it's something that should be discussed as well. The part I disagree with, I do not agree with creating this ordinance right now when the budgets are coming up so fast. So if this is something that's in the interest of everybody, it should just come through the normal process. And we will probably be able to look at more departments in that same respect and work on adjusting some of the other pay rates. So I just think this is out of order. It shouldn't be part of our process, just creating the ordinance and imposing it on the budget. But when we get ready to approve the new budget, I think we should take a look at this as well as the other similar positions across the city and work to correct those pay rates at that time. Thank you.
Councilman Paul Przybylski.
Thank you, President Mack. I have the same sentiments, and I'm a little bit bewildered about the fact that this one individual left, and then they want to increase the pay, and we're still in this budget cycle going into the next budget, and these were set. That is correct. Last year, they were set last year, and I don't feel that we should amend them right now. Because in essence, what we're saying is that for whatever reason, that my interpretation is why that there was something, a problem with giving this person a raise. Why this person was denied a raise for so many years. And I guess I feel a little bit better about it because if we were given this individual that worked that job for, I don't know, it was 7 or 8 years at the same rate, giving that individual back pay. Because what we're doing is what you're wanting to do, the way I look at it and the way I feel about it, which is my own personal feeling, is that it's kind of slapping a face to this individual. Whether it was the mayor that did it or the controller that did it, I don't know. But that is the way I look at it as a human being, that if I would have been working that job and then I decided to leave and retire, and they're giving somebody a $2, well, actually it's 2 jobs increases. I would take it as a vindictive process. And I'm sorry I'm using those kind of comparisons, but that's the way I look at it. And we'll just have to go through the budget cycle, because we're in that budget cycle right now. Thank you, Mr. Mack.
Councilman Don Przybylski.
I mean, President Mack.
A couple comments, and I'm reiterating what I said at the last council meeting also. And I agree both with Councilman Fitzpatrick and Councilman Paul Przybylski that we are being brought this position, secretarial administrative or administrative assistant in the park department, and we're only 3 months away from the new budget to sitting down and actually looking at the budget. And I believe that the park department knew that this person was going to retire. I don't think they just came in on a Thursday and said on a Friday, hey, I'm going to retire. Today's my last day. But then why didn't we receive this ordinance, say, possibly 2 months ago? If you really wanted to plan for this position and have somebody in there, you usually want to do that when the person is still there so you can train them. But this person leaves, and now we're going to go out and try to get the raise because nobody's applying for the job. Well, to me, that's hindsight. That should have been done earlier in the process. They could have came to the council and possibly we would have said, okay, we understand what's going on. But don't put the council in the corner now because we're short one administrative assistant. We didn't do that. The people that did that is the park department. Now they're short a person, and now they want us to give a raise. And like Councilman Fitzpatrick said, we have 3 months to go before budget hearings, and I believe that you don't come to the council asking for money for raises. If we do it for this position, other departments are going to look and they're going to be coming to us and saying, well, we need money for this position because we can't get anybody. We haven't interviewed anybody in 2 weeks, so we need to raise it, $2. In my mind, we're going to be going through this process a lot more. We just need to take a deep breath, wait till the budget hearings come, take care of the raises then, and take care of them if we want to, take care of them across the board, like we're talking about here, and do it fairly. Just don't give one person a raise or two people a raise. So we have that process. And then, we talk about being fair and equitable and decide that we're going to give these people, $1.50, $2 an hour raise. But how about the other people that work in the park department? The guys that are making $9.50 an hour. I mean, who deserves a raise? Somebody that's making $13.50 an hour or somebody that's making $9.50 an hour? Granted, both of them need a raise, but $9.50 an hour? I mean, what do you make? You're making $72 a day on that kind of money, but yet, we're getting all hyped up about this, but how about these other people? And why the park department, maybe the park department should have came to the city council and said, you know what? We can't get any seasonal people. We can't get people to cut the grass. We can't get people to do this or that. We need $1 an hour raise to get these people in here, to hire them. Maybe that's where we should be at with this instead of what we're actually talking about. So like I said before, I'm totally against this at this time, but come budget hearing, to make it equitable across the board, we'll take another look at it at that time. Thank you.
Councilman Dabney.
I'm just listening and I'm trying to figure out, understand how how the budget process works. Even if you direct Shannon to give everybody a raise in the park department, every other department gives everybody a raise across the board, it is the budget still goes through the mayor. So what comes to us is the mayor's budget. It's not the city council's budget. Like the county council, it's the county council's budget. It's the mayor's budget. So even if Shannon would have approached 3 months before the person was to leave, the appropriation would have to start in the mayor's office. Same thing with the budget. Like I said, every department head could go out there and ask to put everybody at the top of their pay ranges, but eventually it's still the mayor's budget. So I don't know if that message was for the mayor to increase everybody's salary. But you told Shannon could come to the council and say, hey, everybody needs a dollar rate. That's not where it starts. It starts with the appropriation through the mayor. So I'm lost. It's almost like we don't understand the process of budgeting.
Okay. Councilwoman Tillman? Councilwoman Deitch?
Yeah, so I had a question for Ms. Eason. So we haven't filled these positions yet, right?
So just for clarity, we have one position open. It's a full-time administrative assistant position, just one. But we're asking for raises for both of our administrative positions to be in line with the other city departments.
Okay, so they're existing, they're already in, those positions are filled that we're trying to get in line.
One is vacant, one is not.
Okay, and my other, so I know last year we were on a hiring, well, I don't know. I think we were on a hiring freeze, but we were people hired, but
correct. We were on a hiring freeze.
Yeah, so we were on a hiring freeze. So I know that in talking with other employers that they can't find people, and that's across that's across the region. It's not just Michigan City. It's across the whole entire region.
Every
My question, I guess, because again, that process that we're talking about and what I mentioned earlier is that we still may not see it. And for clarity, and maybe Brian, Don, I don't know who can answer the question. So you coming with this particular ordinance, this was approved by the mayor to do it just for this one time then? Has he given any commitment of bringing this to doing raises or anything for the park department moving forward?
Yes. So the mayor gave me a verbal commitment to come to the council. And just to answer Councilman Don Prespolinski's comments, this raise was asked for the past employee who retired, and she retired on schedule for the last 7 years. This is not something that I am bringing up during a non-budget cycle to the current council. This has been asked for through 2 administrations. It was promised by Mayor Perry when he took office in 2020 that he would bring our administrative staff up to equitable pay levels, and then COVID hit. So to say that we're punishing a past employee, I'm not punishing our past employee because I have been asking for her equitable wages for 5 years of the mayor administration and going on 2 now of the Perry administration. But then COVID hit and budgets got restricted. The Parks Department de-obligated so many funds back to the city to try to work with them. So this is not something that I didn't ask for the past employee. I've been fighting for these wages for these administrative assistants to be equitable pay for equitable jobs across the city for 7 budget cycles. So I think I'm being misunderstood here. I'm not asking for more pay to attract a new employee. I was asking for more pay 6 years ago to attain a good employee, to keep this person in their position. And now she's retired and we're just having difficulties hiring or retaining qualified, educated people.
Thank you, Shannon. I surely wish I've always had people going to bat for my salary like that back in the day. Thank you. Sean came first, Dahlia, and then I'll get to you next. Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Just real quick to kind of go through what's been said. I do think that we understand that it's the mayor's budget, but I think we also understand that there's a thing called negotiation, and if there are things that the mayors may want that we may not all be in favor of, then maybe there's something that we may want that he may not be all the way behind, and we can kind of work together. If there's some project he wants to get pushed through, and we're not all the way behind it, and then we're like, well, how about help out some of the workers and increase some of those wages before the budget is presented to us? And we're like, okay, that's a fair trade. If we do this, you do that, then everybody wins. It's all about serving the residents of Michigan City. So I'm in favor of anything that does that. I just like the process to be a fair and above board one, and everybody work together to do the same things.
Councilwoman Jiggis.
Yes, I just want to add a brief comment. So I know the budget cycle is starting, but this employee, even if the budget is increased for next year, January is the earliest she'll be able to give somebody a raise for this. And I think that's way too long. I know our budget process is starting, but it's 2021 right now. And this new position, this new salary won't go into place until January of 2022. So I just think that we can easily, by just passing this ordinance, fix the situation. So that's my only comment.
Councilman Don Prespolinski.
Yeah, I just want to make this comment. After I explained my position, Councilman Dabney then made the comment that I need to know how the budget process works, and that it's the mayor's budget, not the council budget. I understand that, Mr. President, and I just want to make a statement that Mr. Councilman Dabney needs to stop impeaching other council members' comments on what they're saying. I have a right to my viewpoint, but he does not have a right to come back and tell me what I need to know or what I do not need to know. Thank you.
Are there any other council comments? Any other council comments? Seeing that there aren't any more, this ordinance will be held over for third reading at the May 4th meeting. All right, new business. FYI, the council has one appointment to the Youth Leadership Commission, Marquette High School. Term expires 6/1/21, and the incumbent is Trayvon Moore. And the second FYI is the mayor is requesting the advice and consent of the members of the Michigan City Common Council regarding the appointment of Miss Renee Bauer as a member of the Michigan City Board of Cemetery Trustees. The term will begin immediately and expire December 31st, 2022. And Ms. Bauer will be replacing Mr. Leonard Fetter's remaining term. If there are no objections, are any of these two people on and would like to speak? Nope, just in case. If there are no objections, we can have the vote this evening. Is it gonna have a motion? Councilman Don Prespolinski?
Yeah, Mr. President, if we have to nominate, then I'll nominate Renee Bauer to get the process going.
Okay. And there's been a nomination by Councilman Don Prespolinski and a second by Councilwoman Deitch. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Ms. Bauer, congratulations. And the first one, the appointment to the Youth Commission.
Can I nominate Trayvon Moore?
Yes, please do. Do we have a second?
I'll second that nomination.
We have a nomination by Councilwoman Dyke and a second by Councilman Paul Prespolinski. All in favor?
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
We don't have an application or a letter from Marquette appointing him.
Oh, okay, so we need to wait.
Well, this is a FYI.
Okay.
So we need a letter from the principal of Marquette High School, please.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm ahead of myself.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, unfinished business. The mayor is requesting the advice and consent. We're going to vote on this one. The mayor is requesting the advice and consent of the members of the Michigan City Common Council regarding his reappointment of Mr. Daniel Messina as a member of the Michigan City Port Authority Board. Term will begin immediately and expire March 14th, 2025. Do we have a motion to approve the mayor's advice and consent?
I make a motion to approve it.
We have a motion by Councilman Don Prespolinski and a second by Councilwoman Angela Deitch. Ms. Nyla on the vote?
You can do a virtual.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Messina. Nomination, the council has one appointment to the Michigan City Scholarship Exception Committee, term expiring 5/1/21. The incumbent is Mr. Ryan Labisse. Advised that Mr. Ryan turned in his application to be reappointed to the Michigan City Scholarship Exception Committee. Opening nominations.
Mr. President?
Councilman Don Prespolinski.
Yeah, I nominate Ryan Labisse for the Scholarship Committee. And if I may say a couple things about him.
Yes, sir.
I know him personally. The council elected him onto the Exceptions Committee. Last year, he was our council representative. He attended all the meetings required to do so. And he's a school teacher in Michigan City, so he's got a vested interest to make sure that the scholarship committee runs properly. So I would hope that everybody would vote for him. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman.
You need a second on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
And we have a second by Councilman Paul Prespolinski. Councilwoman Deitch?
Were there any other letters? I didn't hear that. I wasn't sure. Okay. All right. Thank you.
There were none, right? Are there any other nominations? Anyone else have a nomination? Seeing that there are none, nominations are closed and the vote will take place at the May 4th council meeting. All right, that completes that piece of paper. Any comments from the public? Any closing comments from the public? I'm going to give you a second here, Caleb. Caleb, if there are none, let me know.
I am not seeing anyone.
You're not seeing it, so I can safely say comments from the public the third time and move on. Comments from the council. Any comments from the council? Councilman Paul Prespolinski.
Thank you. I want to make some comments to the council and the general public about something that I made a commentary. I think it's probably been 10 months on the forest of unattended limbs. That is what I'm calling the vacated telephone poles in the city of Michigan City that I went to the Board of Works about. And I guess we're making some headway because we had a discussion yesterday about who's responsible for the poles and getting Comcast to move their wires. And I made the suggestion, I hope it was helpful or stimulated somebody about who regulates them. It is, I believe, the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission. Well, this morning I talked to Jeff Wright, and Jeff Wright got a fax from someone at Comcast that they're going to get together and identify these poles. So we're making headway on removing the forest without limbs. And also, there was further discussion about street closings and the ugliness that they're doing on A Street with the poles and the, I don't know what you would call them, the metal poles that they're putting up. But there was a discussion with people from NIPSCO yesterday, or their consultants yesterday, and why they're not getting street closure orders or even getting any information on what they're doing downtown. And I personally think it's rather tacky, but there's a couple things that came out, and that was that their consultants are not keeping up to date or with the engineering department, and that and also I want to add some, I also want to add in there that Jeff, our city engineer, also put out an email that he was not going to give out any more permits for anything until something happened with the removal of wires off the NIPSCO poles. So the pressure is being applied and it seems to be working. But anyway, with this thing with downtown, and it kind of, even though I don't live in that area and I don't represent that area, but I think it's very, very unbecoming, and they're destroying the ambiance of that corridor down there around the farmers market. And one of the consultants for NIPSCO, or not NIPSCO, for the NICTA project, said that our city planner was aware of this taking place. So there we go again about planning, and that information. I really I was flabbergasted when I heard that. I was really flabbergasted, because for all the millions of dollars that have gone into the downtown is what they're doing on that H Street corridor. It is, take a ride down there and look for yourself. I really think it's destroying that ambiance down there. And I believe that I asked them the question if they did any surveys to know where they're putting them poles, because I noticed that they're cutting up a lot of sidewalks. They're putting them right in the sidewalks, all right? These huge quadrangular, I don't even know how to describe them, these upright poles that they're using that are metal now. And they're really tacky, because they're made out of this steel that rusts and is supposed to seal them. I don't understand why they didn't do something that was halfway more appealing, like they did on Ohio Street. And but the bottom line is, I don't know who knew, who didn't know what went on down there. It's a sad thing.
So anyway, almost up, Councilman.
All right. With that being said, I'm looking forward to trying to get rid of the remainder of these nuisance poles in town. And one other thing is, I would like to see the Board of Works and the engineering department come up with a remedy on how much we're actually saving from the LED street lights, because our budgetary process is that so we could put more lights in neighborhoods to make them safer at the same cost. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Tillman.
Thank you, President. I just wanted to add on to what Councilman Paul Prisbalinski was speaking on. I had the opportunity to sit in on the Board of Works meeting yesterday, and the conversations that was being had regarding the double tracking. I just wanted to ask to see if there's any way that information pertaining to the updates of the road closings in regards to the double tracks be added to the city website. There has to be some other way to where we can keep the citizens informed of these road closures, instead of waiting to the day of and you're finding out these roads are going to be closed and for how long, so that people could plan accordingly their daily routes.
Are there any other council comments? Councilwoman Don Prisbalinski.
Mr. President, thank you. As I talked about the group before, the Great Michigan City Green Clean organization, trying to clean Michigan City up. Earth Day, is this going to be this coming Thursday, April 22nd? And I'm sure that folks will be out trying to do their part in their neighborhoods and communities. So I'd like to encourage everyone in town, if you have a couple hours, go out, pick up litter in your neighborhoods, along the thoroughfares, whatever you can do. to try to make Michigan City a cleaner looking and inspiring town. And just to comment on that 8th Street corridor and what's taking place down there, agree with what Councilman Paul Przybylski said. But to me, if the city doesn't get a grasp on what NIPSCO is doing, and these contractors are going to be doing on this double track project, I have a feeling that everything from 11th Street, possibly down to 8th Street or 7th Street, there's going to be a lot of things going on down there that are not going to look appealing once things are done. I mean, the city should be out in front of this. They should have weekly meetings with this group to see exactly what they plan on doing. You know, you come into town and these guys say, well, we're going to put up these 50-foot telephone poles, and then we're going to put up these 70-foot steel, and it's actually called hot metal because it's not dipped galvanized. And what they do is they just rust. So if you go down 8th Street, starting at Michigan Boulevard, go down to Wabash Street, drive that corridor, what you're going to see is about 15 gigantic, rusty looking nails coming out of the ground with wires on them. So that's, to me, that's not very appealing to go to an area that was just redeveloped. The Elston Grove area, the city spent millions of dollars in that area. And now we're not keeping track of, what's going on down there. We just have to be vigilant to make sure what these contractors are doing, and even when they start building the station, that they're doing the right thing. And we are standing up for the protection of our citizens in Michigan City, whether they live in the downtown area or whether they live south of the tracks or wherever they're at, whatever is going to affect us with this double tracking. And I agree with Councilwoman Tillman that there should be something put on our website to tell everybody day in and day out what streets are open, what streets are closed. It's as simple as that. But to talk about it, I don't know if the website is even updated, because I know Councilwoman Zygas had talked about that, 3 or 4 months ago. And I don't know where the city stands with updating their website, but to me, that would be the easiest way to get that information out there to let people know what's going on in our city. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Deitch?
Just to add to that, I know that many years ago when I was responsible for that, that there should be a public notification that could be sent out to radio, all radio, newspaper, the city, whoever wants to be on that list of street closures. One thing I will say about street closures, and I know for a fact last year, and this was just in construction in general, traffic control. We talk about safety of our citizens and safety of even of the workers working on the projects who are down there. Traffic control. We had there were numerous deaths last year around projects across the country, not just in Michigan, not Michigan City. I saw the look on somebody's face like deaths, but there were people who have been traffic control specialists over in South Bend, different places where, they're out there monitoring traffic. And it's so important that it's set up appropriately and that the city is at least taking a spot check and taking a look at what's happening. When we set up, when we start having these street closures, we need to take a look at it because last year and the year before, I know of several subcontractors and contractors that passed away because of the way traffic control was set up on street. So I just want to look at both sides of it, but it's important for our citizens, but it's important for people who are out there. So the more notification, the better. I know this was sprung on us, but I'm like, we should know if things change from day to day. This is important enough that at least we should create some type of mailing list or alert or something that can be shared, some type of distribution list of street closures. I know I did it previously in a past life where I just had a list of all the media, all the elected officials, and I would just shoot out any notifications that need to be made. So maybe that's something that we suggest to, to NIPSCO and to NICD that, if this is changing on the fly, we need to know on the fly, and here's your distribution list. And we can just add to that list, and they can create that list, and it shouldn't be an issue. Thank you.
Councilwoman Jiggis.
Yes, to add to that, I am on a county notification list, so I get alerts on what county roads are closed. So I'm sure they could set something up like that for us, locally as well. I have a couple of park updates and green updates. So we are in COVID state orange right now. So no one's using the parks right now as much as, they could be. But as soon as the weather warms up, they're going to be having 2 staff members at the main entrance and 2 monitoring parking to make sure that they are at the code orange, level for parking. And there is a document that we have prepared to kind of let you know. So again, we're keeping an eye on it, but the park department will be monitoring people entering the parking lot as the weather warms up. I have a few more green updates. First of all, on my website, I have a bunch of information. I have a survey for Water Tower Park. If anybody has not filled that out and wants to put their input on these modifications at Water Tower Park, there's a link to the survey. May 1st at the farmer's market, that's opening day, the tree board is passing out free trees. They're trees that are suitable for this environment for the city. So all you got to do is show up, and as long as we have them, they'll be passing them out. Along the trees as well, Community Tree Stewards is a program that the DNR has. I also have a link to that. It's $15 to get lots of training on how to be a tree steward, someone that takes urban trees and knows how to take care of them. So that's available. And also all 7th graders on May 7th are going to participate in Better World Day, all Michigan City area school 7th graders. And they're asking the community to get involved. The theme is plastic pollution, and I just found out about it today. So I will have more updates on my website. But as you probably all know, it's Daisy Lee. That's one of the main organizers of this. But there's going to be activities in several parks related to plastics and recycling. So that's my little green update. Thank you.
Was that? I believe that is it. Any other Councilman Fitzpatrick? Councilman Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, so I just a quick couple things. I've been talking to some of the youth out in the community, and we're definitely needing applicants for the Youth Leadership Commission. I'm pretty sure all of those, if not most of them, all of the appointments have expired and need to be renewed, or we need to just repopulate the commission so they can get back to work. And second, I wanted to thank everyone that wrote letters to us, those that were read, those that were not read. I appreciate the feedback. I think that more people should engage with us that way, and I encourage more people to do so. And today is April 20th, and I still have no confidence in Dwayne Perry to run this city. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Mr. Mack?
Paul, again? Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I just want to make a short comment. And I, too, feel that in support of Councilman Don Przybolinsky, that it's getting tiring listening to Mr. Dabney impeach things that council members have to say. And I think that we need to just talk about the issues and not get into personalities, whatever it might be, because that's not a good environment and a productive environment.
I
Thank
think
you.
we need to close this off because we'll replay the tape and we're going to go by this is not going to turn into a debate over this. So I'm going to close this meeting because this is the argument and the back and forth that we continue to do. I encourage everyone that is in the listening of this to replay. This is going to be on tape. And did Mr. Dabney use anyone's name with this impeachment? I'm going to go back and definitely replay it and see if he implicitly used someone's name and disparaged their character. But that is the place we should go, and I encourage all of us that are watching this show to check that out yourself. It's earlier in the meeting. To close out on a positive note, I'm going to follow up with what Dahlia said on a couple of outstanding things that are happening this coming week. Dahlia, it sounds like they've reeled you in, and myself and Dabney are going to be have a part. We're going to be running the show. I haven't had a class of 7th graders in a lot of years, so I might get ran over. But I'm looking forward to operating some fun in the park with some green groups and hanging out with some 7th graders and doing some of that stuff. And speaking of parks, I'm going to also reiterate what Dahlia said on the Water Tower Park. There is a survey for the Water Tower Park asking what we would like. I would like anyone that's interested in parks. My personal belief is that we should have a couple of gyms in Michigan City surrounding disabled communities and our ADA compliance. So I would love to see Michigan City as a destination for children with autism and all kind of other disabilities come to Michigan City as a place that they can go. Because from what I hear, the county doesn't have extreme parks that are pretty much targeted for those people. I want everyone to, again, go to the Vibrant Communities website. There is a lot of information there, a lot of details, a lot of data on our town, our cities, our needs. You can do some investigation and find out and be better equipped to speak to how we spend some of this money and where we're going to get our bang for our buck improving our communities. There are other buckets of money coming down the pipe from the federal government that have to do with roads, bridges, and sewers. It's not guaranteed yet, but there is a big push for the American Jobs Plan that is coming. And I'm confident that that is going to come down the pike and it's going to give us a heck of an opportunity to build these sewers and roads that our community has been needing for a while for development. An Entrepreneur Center is another thing that's being discussed. And I cannot wait for that. We've got a lot of young entrepreneurs in our city and a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs in our city. And we are not going to, we're not going to forget you when it comes time to develop the growth and handle the growth of our city. So with that said, I make a motion, or do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Councilwoman Deitch and a second by Councilman Fitzpatrick. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All righty. Good night, folks. Thank you.
Good night.
Night.